As above, oh hello there ghouls and goblins. Step into the fog and stay a while and listen. I'm Taylor, your casual crypt keeper, and today we're gonna be diving beneath the brimstone, past the gates of the underworld. We're gonna gawk at some of the nastiest, slimiest, stinkiest, and may I say scariest demons across the world from all walks of life. This is the top 5 demonic creatures scarier than the devil himself. Let me know down below in the comments which of these monsters you think is just calling out for a Hollywood movie. I know which one I want, and it'll be pretty obvious by the end of the video. Let's dive on in. Number 5, Azazel. Azazel is a pretty powerful demon of lore. He's the father of possession, and in certain texts is said to be the first demon to ever perfect the power. He started as an angel, alongside Lucifer, depicted as a handsome, statuesque hunk of a man with a pair of feathery wings. But when Lucifer and his cronies fell down to hell and Azazel with, he was corrupted by the legions of hell, and is depicted in Christian and Jewish texts as a demonic, hideous figure. Back while he still bunked in heaven, Azazel had a bit of a rebellious streak. When God created man, Azazel was not particularly impressed by this work, instead stating, "Why should God create a human being who will shed blood and confusion while the angels prostrate before him and sing his glory day and night?" And I hate to say it, but he is a little bit right. Humans shedding blood and confusion is undoubtedly one of our biggest design flaws. I get where he's coming from on that point entirely. He never sheds any blood. So obviously, since Azazel was kind of calling out the boss directly on his creation, he was cast out of the kingdom of heaven down to earth alongside several other angels. This didn't really humble him though, it just made him a lot angrier, as then Azazel raised an army of fallen angels who bred with the humans to produce monstrous beings called the Nephilim, twisted giants. He spread evil and corruption throughout the land, teaching man the art of weapon making, and apparently, if legends are to be believed, he also taught women how to deceive by making cosmetics. So if you want to blame someone for the high prices at Sephora, it's Azazel apparently. Azazel the fallen angel. Azazel is very prominent in Jewish texts primarily, where he was considered a very serious force of evil. Early Semitic tribes have been said to make sacrifices to Azazel when they made sacrifices to Yahweh at the same time. To make a sacrifice to Azazel, they would drive a goat into the desert or push it into a deep ravine. Now this wasn't actually supposed to honor him or appeal him, rather it symbolized people sending their sins back to the original sort, and this goat was sort of a scapegoat for that sort of thing, and that's where we get the term. There you go, you learned something today. And if you'd like to learn way more things, or if you just want to be entertained, Top 5 Scary is the place to be, my friends. We've got videos on demons, ghosts, goblins, aliens, cryptids, and anything scary you can name. Stay subscribed and stay scared. Alright, let's keep on going. Number 4, the dullahan. When I make these videos, I try to get as global as I can with it. I don't want all the demons coming from one place. I believe demons obey no borders, and I think demons should belong to all of us, all over the planet. Diversity is a demon's greatest strength, after all. With that in mind, I realized I don't do a lot of Euro demons. So here's the dullahan, a terrifying creature of Irish folklore. And I gotta say, this guy is awesome, but he's kind of like a demon ghost rider. I'd get an action figure of this dude in like a heartbeat. The dullahan is a headless horseman, an undead pale rider atop a black horse. He is said to be the embodiment of the spirit of the Celtic god Cruim Duv. The dullahan carries his own severed head in one hand, which is so metal. It's got its mouth split open and putrid rotten skin, and in the other, a whip made of a human spine that he uses to whip his spectral horsey. Everything about this guy would make like the sickest forearm tattoo ever. It's said that wherever the dullahan stops, death will soon follow in its wake. He rides through town and villages after dark, where the townspeople will hide away, lest they meet his perilous gaze. He blinds anyone who looks at him, and I get it, hey? Some days I don't want to be perceived at all either. Totally get where you're coming from here. Unfortunately, I have a job where I'm on camera. He has the ability to speak only once per journey of his, and he chooses his words incredibly carefully, so he'll never stop through the drive-thru no matter how much you bug him to and scream in the back seat. When it calls out a person's name, whoever's name it spoke will perish instantly. There's really not any room for interpretation or discussion here. The dullahan rides up, says your name from his spooky little severed head, and that's kind of it for you. You're done. You're done in like a doornail. Sorry. Number 3, Lamshtu. Coming up next on this list is going to be Lamshtu. Lamshtu? I don't know. I've never heard it said. I've only read it. Lamshtu is an ancient demon of Sumerian and Mesopotamian lore, manifesting as a horrid hybrid of a hairy animalistic body, a lioness's head, donkey's teeth specifically, and razor-sharp talons. There is a lot going on there. I understand if you need a minute to try and piece all that together in your head to visualize this creature, but I'm sure we've got a beautiful photo for us right behind me. If that lovely description of of her physical traits wasn't enough to convince you of just how disgusting Lamshtu is, let me describe some of her habits and hobbies. She's renowned for her hellish torment, and she just loves to harass pregnant women. This is a demon that cannot get enough of bothering pregnant women. Hopefully so she can steal their babies and then eat their bones and drink their blood. That's gotta be like, you know, some of the most evil things you can possibly do. So I feel like that's definitely qualifications enough to earn this baddie on the list of the top 5 demonic creatures scarier than the devil. Now, she's known to wipe out crops, contaminate water, she spreads plague, pestilence, famine, death, and I'm sure if she could, she would spread war too, just to round out all the horsemen. It's said too that she is also capable of possession, and once she's inside you, you'll experience terrifying nightmares every single night and come down with a grave illness. Okay, so that explains why I haven't been sleeping nearly as well lately since I started reading about scary demons all the time. So what do you do if you've got a nasty donkey-toothed demoness trying to make booster juice out of your offspring? Well, ancient Sumerian and Mesopotamian people would invoke the spirit of Pazuzu, another demonic creature who is said to be a god of the wind. Pazuzu himself is a demon, and one that causes chaos and pain, and hey, look, don't get Pazuzu wrong. He will absolutely spread a little bit of famine, plague, and pestilence through the lands and torment the villagers, but he's got a bit of a soft spot for protecting pregnant women and women in general. He's a noble demon like that. Pazuzu's got some like demon honor, where he goes after demons and hunts them down who are naughtier than he is. You know how in like the Godzilla movies, the only way to stop like Mothra or Rodan or Ghidorah is to have Godzilla wrestle him for a bit? This is kind of like the demon equivalent of that. Coming up at the number 2 spot is the Oni. An Oni is a yokai from Japanese folklore. A brutal, overwhelmingly strong beast, resembling closely to like an orc or ogre or troll in Western fantasy. Nothing like Shrek though, nothing at all like Shrek. Oni are pure, brutal, hulking monsters of hatred. They're known for their fierce and evil nature, their absolute sadistic love of violence, bloodshed, and oh yeah, eating human flesh. However, traditionally in ancient Japanese texts, Oni are thought to be more complex beings than simply being all the way evil, with most stories actually featuring Oni portraying them in a more nuanced light than most demons. That's good. That's good that the Onis have a lot going on. According to Japanese Buddhism, an Oni is one step of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. When a particularly sinister or evil person dies, it's said that they'll be reborn as an Oni. In some of the old tales, if a person is just spectacularly beyond sinister evil, they'll become an Oni even before their death. That seems kind of wrong. Like if you're super evil, you get to turn into an even angrier, cool demon, you'll just love that. That's not a punishment. They're almost always depicted as hulking, muscular monsters with red or blue skin, jagged teeth, and one or more horns growing out of their heads, sometimes with more eyes than normal. Frequently, they're shown to wear tiger pelt clothes, and they carry a giant weapon called a kanabo, which literally translates to metal stick. It was a really mean historical weapon, and it was a lot more like a slab of iron than it was a weapon. Just seeing an Oni is said to render heart-stopping fear in a man, due in no small part to their raging appearance. They bring calamity with them wherever they go, war, plague, earthquakes, the usual fun stuff, able to harness lightning and thunder, and they have an insatiable lust for human flesh, and are said to be able to suck a person back in a single bite. I kinda wanna see that. And finally, at number 1, Akaname. At the number 1 spot is the Akaname, the single funniest demon I have ever read about in all of my years reading about folklore here in the fog. The Akaname is a Japanese yokai, and its name literally translates to scum sucker or filth licker. We're off to an amazing start here with this little guy. An Akaname is a small ghoul or gremlin-like creature which tends to hang out around dirty little bathhouses or prowls around bathrooms. They're pretty small, about the size of a toilet. They have a mop of greasy, slimy black hair on top of their heads. They're naked and are said to be just as slimy and greasy like their hair. They've got dark green skin that makes them look all moldy, or they have these muddy pink bodies that makes them look rotten and infected. Is it coming across to you that these things are just disgusting? That a creature called the filth licker and looks like mold on 2 feet is a vile little monstrosity. They've got these extremely long prehensile tongues that they use to eat their favorite snack, and I've been waiting for this, bathroom grime. They lap up all the slime, grease, hair, filth, and don't make me say it, don't make me say it, things that can be found around a bathroom. I was gagging multiple times reading about this demon, and I thought if I have to, you have to all know about it as well. If I'm cursed with this knowledge, I have to pass it on. This is the most foul creature ever put to paper. They detest a clean space and will never be around Lemon Pledge. They only appear to homes that show a complete lack of sanitary discipline, and we're told as a legend to get people to, clean the bathroom every now and again, lest they have to deal with this little toilet pest. If you've got roommates who are like a big problem, not washing the toilet seat, just tell them all about the Akaname and how he's gonna get inside your house. It's thought that the Pokemon Lickitung, adorable, funny old Lickitung, was inspired by an Akaname. So if you're a big Pokemon fan, good luck ever looking at a Lickitung the same way again, knowing what it probably eats. I'm gonna be honest. Is this like the most blood-curdlingly scary demon ever? Well, it doesn't slice and dice or whip a spectral horse with a severed spine or something, but it's a goblin that eats hair off bathroom floors. That's the scariest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Well, that's all she wrote, ghouls and goblins. Thank you so much for your time. Take it easy now and creep on creeping on.